Hello, everyone. I'm Prem Patel. I am the CEO of Healthy Minds Club UAE, and I'm delighted to introduce Series 2 of the Wellbeing Majlis podcast. This is a podcast which is associated with the Healthy Minds Arabia magazine. What we'll be doing is, again, bringing experts and practitioners to come and share their backstories, their best practices and techniques, and how they actually support the UAE community to improve healthier minds and their well-being. So let's begin. So welcome back to the Wellbeing Majlis podcast. And I'm delighted to have a very special guest with me today who is a specialist in corporate well-being and has been in the UAE for not many months, I think a short period. So we're going to explore her journey over here. And she's part of the Healthy Minds Club experts, practitioners. So I'm delighted to welcome Neelam. So welcome, Neelam.
Thank you so much,
to the Wellbeing Majlis podcast.
It's
so
my
nice
honor.
To have you here.
Thank you.
And I had to have you here, right? Because you and my sister share the same name.
Yes.
So how could I not?
Exactly.
Right? There you go.
You won't forget me.
I think Neelam means diamond or something, doesn't it?
It means sapphire.
Sapphire.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was close.
Blue,
all right. Well, I
blue
should know
gem.
That. Yeah,
now
gem.
You can go
That's
tell
it.
your sister.
That's it. I will. But so you're in corporate well-being. And you've been here how many months now in UAE?
Just about 10 months now.
10 months.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your backstory so that people get to know you, Neelam, who you are. Why have you gone into this space of corporate well-being and how did that come about?
So, to be honest, I feel like the path found me. So I started off as an investment banker. I was a derivatives trader, and it came to a point where I felt a misalignment in values. You know, I felt it was a real struggle getting to work every day. The stress was mounting to the point where I was suffering from chronic lower back pain. It didn't matter how much I slept. I was always exhausted, of course.
But that career is a hard and fast career, right? It's long hours.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's high pressure. Yeah. And this was all in my 20s, you know? And I think that's when I decided to explore wellness. Primarily because I was student number one. I needed to heal myself, you know, realign to my purpose, to my energy, to my body. And so I started teaching, and I would teach different modalities. And it occurred to me that so many people who would come to me were my former life, like high stress, corporate, and they were just taking the onus of responsibility to fix themselves in order to keep going. And I thought, you know, why don't we actually bring this to the source? And so, funnily enough, I find myself in banks most of the time. It's full circle. But this time I'm talking about the preventative measures.
Sure.
How can we ensure high performance that's sustainable? And, you know, really mitigating that risk of burnout.
Let me just go back to one point on your backstory and definitely banks, because, you know, I've been in banking, you are, so we can explore this a bit further.
Yeah.
But you mentioned something happened along the journey. Was it a specific trigger that one day you thought, you know, this is it, enough's enough?
So it was a compounding impact, you know, stress day in and day out. So that's why it became a chronic issue, right? And so I could feel myself withering away, my energy, my mood. You know, I would snap at people that I would generally be very compassionate with.
And where was this?
This was in Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong,
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So after I had graduated from the London School of Economics, I worked in Hong Kong in investment banking, and I just felt that the environment was high pressure, but nobody had a safe outlet for that pressure. People, we definitely saw temper tantrums on the trading floor. There were tears.
Of course.
There were, everyone was trying out, standing desks, sitting on a stability ball.
But a few years back, there was no place for people to talk about things.
Yeah,
Right? Nobody wanted that anyway in the banking sector, right?
Yeah, it was highly stigmatized. In fact, most of my year-end appraisals were, "Oh, Neelam, you're too nice. You need to be more aggressive."
Wow.
And I thought, is that who I want to be? In order to thrive, do I need to relinquish my personal values of kindness?
Yeah.
And then the global financial crisis hit. With my mood low, my energy low, of course it would affect my performance.
Yeah.
So I got a redundancy package, and I thought this could be a pivot point for me. Let me try doing something that I'm really passionate about. And here we are, full circle.
Brilliant.
This was,
and you've been doing it ever since, right?
20 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what triggered you to sort of leave the world of sort of Hong Kong and all of that area and then come to the UAE?
Oh, that's a great question. I think my husband and I have always had this kind of quest for adventure. We've always also really enjoyed changing scenes. So even in Hong Kong, we would move our apartments. We would stay in different places.
You just shake it up, right?
Shake it up, because I think if you're not learning, if you're not adapting, and you're not evolving, you're decaying. And we so often—
I like that. I love that.
We so often find that comfort zone, and it's the comfort zone that shrinks our capability.
But so many people live their life on this path. This is the path I'm going to go: career, marriage, kids, house, mortgage. That's the straight path. That's what you're taught as a kid.
Exactly.
Especially in our sort of Asian communities.
Absolutely.
Right?
I think
you went off the beaten path.
I think it's also perhaps this realm of wellness that's allowed me to take risks, to have a bit of courage, and to really back our sense of capability. We don't know what we're able to achieve until we put ourselves in these situations.
And the human body and mind, it's so resourceful. It can do so many things if you just let it explore.
100%. And so we came to the UAE last December just as a family trip to see how, what we thought of it. The kids completely loved it. Our daughter was moving from secondary to primary. So we thought this was a perfect inflection point. If we uproot them in their teenage years, it would come with more resistance.
Of course.
And so all of us were on board. We all said, let's give it a shot. We always have, also I feel like knowing that you have safety nets, we always have Hong Kong to go back to. We always have, our capabilities, our education. So why not roll the dice?
So Hong Kong is home, like as in?
Yeah. For me, my parents are there. Family is there.
Okay.
I did live in London for a few years, but I think the world is such a big, beautiful place. If you don't get out, how do you even broaden perspectives?
Yeah, true.
And that's something about the UAE that I absolutely love. Even though I'm so new to the country, I've never felt like a visitor. I've always felt so welcome. They're so people are so embracing, and
it's such a friendly society.
So
and
friendly, so warm.
They embrace all cultures.
Yes.
And the community builds as all these different cultures coming together, right?
Exactly. And I think for me, that was something very important, that we bring up the children where they're in a place of belonging. They feel a sense of belonging with the community, but also that many people have different home countries. But yet we're still one here, making it work and calling it our home. And that's very unique and very beautiful.
I'm sure we could talk about the whole UAE community in a whole different podcast. Let me just switch it back to corporate well-being, right? So there seems to be this whole movement on well-being, like is this whole like revolution of well-being, employee well-being now, so, and every company talks about it. Some do things good, some don't, some do nothing. The world is talking about it. It's a big growth area. What's happening out there?
Yeah, it is. It's getting a lot of traction. I think it's, obviously everyone wants to be branded as a good employer. Everyone wants to feel that, yes, I am really looking after my people.
Yeah.
We do have a culture of care. But as you said, it also takes a visionary leader to implement that change management system. I went for a workshop. It was amazing. It changed our corporate culture. And it was only 2 hours. Said nobody ever. Change takes time.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen in a workshop.
Happen in a quick workshop for half a day.
Exactly.
Right? No.
So I think also creating a bit more awareness around the longevity, the sustainability. If we're talking about deep issues here, it takes time to unpack, to rewire, and then reprogram.
It's quite interesting you say that. So probably a few months back, I was talking to a CEO of a company who invited me to come and talk to about a half-day workshop on like change management and mindset shift from fixed mindset to growth mindset. So I went and talked to him, and he said, well, what results will I expect like tomorrow, after the day after the workshop?
Exactly.
What do you expect to happen? He says, well, I need to see something tangible. I said, well, you're not going to see anything tangible. What you might see is people thinking a little bit differently and mulling over what they've had the conversation on.
Exactly.
And some new tips. He goes, unless I see something tangible, I can demonstrate progress in 24 hours. He goes, I don't want to do it. I went, then I'm not your guy, yeah? I said, you're on your own.
Exactly.
So I just walked out of the room. I said, look, let's stay friends. I said, you're expecting miracles to happen overnight when you've created this culture that is so ingrained, a bit toxic right now, and you want to change it overnight, really?
Exactly.
Like, with one workshop?
Exactly. You really hit the nail on the head there. It starts with leadership.
Yeah.
It starts with the people who are running the firm having that vision, having that commitment, and also putting in the legwork themselves.
Yeah.
If they're going to be the ambassadors of growth mindset and they are in fixed mindset, your actions are speaking louder than words.
It's their job, right?
Absolutely.
To shift the culture and live by example.
Right.
So do you deal with corporate well-being just at the top table, or is it like throughout the organization?
So I definitely start my programs with some leadership buy-in, because as you said, you can't roll it out unless the leaders are really engaged and willing to see this take place over time. And then I also I do kind of coaching circles and mentoring with middle management. I see a lot of bottleneck there.
I mean, that middle management right now is squeezed at all levels.
Exactly.
Right? Top, bottom,
correct.
sides.
Exactly.
I mean, they are feeling a lot of pressure, aren't
they? Exactly. So allowing them even a safe space to air out their grievances. Sometimes there is no psychological safety. So the leadership doesn't think anything's up, but yet they're feeling ultra pressured. And
I mean, they won't say anything half the time, right?
Exactly. So being able to read between the lines, sometimes also, we'll do consultations where it's just me and them. As an outsider, there's a bit more openness versus if their boss is sitting right next to them.
Because their bosses are going to do their performance reviews and everything else, right? At the end of the day. And then they don't want to either upset the status quo or whatever it is, right? So,
and if it means somebody has the power to govern your bonus, or whether you stay in the firm or get promoted, you will say yes, even though you mean no. And so I think it's that engendering that transparency within the firm to say, okay, what are the expectation sets? What are some healthy boundaries we can put in place? How can we adopt different stakeholders to make sure that it's a bit more sustainable?
So what are these like, what are the external like factors that are impacting the growth and focus on well-being right now? Because it's suddenly boomed over I'd say the last 2 years. You hear so much more, especially this year, about the importance of well-being and wellness, and that whole industry really taking off for the next 5 years. But what's happening?
So my personal take is, as the world has accelerated, it's putting a load on our nervous systems. We are living in a nonstop attention economy, right? Whether it's being responsive to an email or to a message on our phones, being answerable.
Oh God, how annoying is it when it's
calls.
constantly pinging?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or also, I think the biggest turning point has also been the onset of AI. The fact that something can happen so quickly. Now I need to prove myself. Now that I need to prove that I'm not replaceable by this bot. And so that's also putting a load on that nervous system, where they feel that they need to do more, perform better in order to hold on to their seat. And that's really when the conversation starts to shift a little bit here. Are we really talking about doing more faster? AI is not sleeping. It's not taking breaks. What is it that we can hold true in ourselves? And that's really the human advantage. It's these connections. It's that the feeling you create when you're dealing with your team, when you're dealing with your clients, your suppliers. And it's that
why
emotion,
that emotional connection is so important.
It's coming back to square one. What makes us human? Now, this is our differentiating factor. If we're ignoring that humanness and we're going to compete on technical, then you're then competing with machine. So coming back to well-being and really honing in those values, the interpersonal connections, the relationship economy is then forming.
I mean, look, we met outside of here earlier today, right? With some of the Healthy Minds experts. For the first time, some of the people got together.
I know.
Had a coffee. We had a little chat. It was nice, right? It felt really good. Like we had, even though it's just a handful of us, it was good that everyone connected.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure, you guys, you've all met now locally, and hopefully people will carry on that relationship and that community, right? And you just like evolve it. But those things become so important in today's world, just to take a bit of let's have a conversation around the table, talk to each other.
And despite us being so connected digitally, we are the most disconnected, where loneliness is at its peak. And loneliness has now been studied scientifically to have physiological impact. Almost 15 cigarettes a day is the same impact of feeling lonely. Imagine.
Wait, 50 cigarettes a day?
15 cigarettes.
15?
Yeah.
So the impact of 15 cigarettes a day is the same as the lonely
epidemic that we're experiencing. This is U.S. Surgeon General saying. Yeah. So, now that we're able to quantify and really say, what are we doing to our physiology? What are we doing to our psychology? So much of our experience is a social experience.
I mean, they're saying in the UK right now, one of the biggest future killers is going to be loneliness. Like there'll be so many more older people lonely that they have no companionship, no community, nothing, right?
Exactly. I mean, I think the statistics came out as well from the UK in terms of data. Depression is on the rise, especially in the men's suicidality. Women's anxiety levels are very high. So, you're seeing this implication. Obviously, if we're not looking after our health mentally, socially, emotionally, how does that obviously it's going to affect our performance?
I was at a conference in Bangkok a couple of days ago, and one thing that came out of there was the new currency now is health. Right? So the new world currency is all about health, because without your health, you have nothing.
Absolutely.
And as people are living longer, you need to have healthier lives.
Yes.
But what are we doing? Well, we're adding pressure and stress and everything into our system right now.
Exactly.
Which is going to catch up with all of us years down the line.
Yeah.
And then what are we doing to take care of that? That's where you need the well-being mindset shifts, you need the support. And most people don't get support either at home or they don't get it in the office.
Yeah.
So where do you find it?
Exactly.
Hopefully they find it in platforms like ours, Healthy
Yeah.
Minds Club, where they can talk confidentially to people like you
Yeah.
and experts, and get that advice and guidance and whatever, or just have someone listen.
Absolutely. I think, we've turned things on its head because we spend half our life sacrificing our health to gain wealth. And then the other half of our life spending our wealth to gain back our health.
Yeah.
So this is exactly what we're doing. The reason of corporate well-being is let's make it sustainable. Let's ensure high performance, but it doesn't have a personal cost borne to the employee that is their health or their well-being.
Let me ask you a little bit of a challenging question, right?
Sure.
Because how do you convince a CEO of a company, that well-being of his employees is a really important thing for him to do?
How do I convince
How
them?
would we convince them? Because there's a lot of non-believers, right? They'll just look at top line, bottom line, this is it, and I don't really care about the people in the middle.
Yeah, I think Gallup just did a study that the cost of disengagement to the global economy is $1.3 trillion.
Wait, $1.3 trillion
Think about
for disengagement.
Yeah, think about all the people who are seated at their desks, but they're not living to their full potential.
Yeah, and is this like cost because of absenteeism or non-productiveness?
Yeah,
all that kind of
exactly. Your productivity is, and
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
experienced that myself. Employers are paying higher for insurance. Cost of retention is higher. Attrition is higher.
But even cost of trying to find talent.
Yeah, to replace one key employee is 3 times their salary.
Wow.
So think about,
and it takes them 6 to 9 months to onboard anyway.
Correct,
So you've lost the
exactly.
first year.
Exactly.
By the second year, they're probably looking for another job anyway.
So there you go. There is a lot of bottom line evidence. I also feel like, it's not my role to convince the naysayers. They will find their journey, because the more I try to push it down the throats, the more resistance there will be.
True.
So I rather work, and I'm very actually selective with who I work. And it needs to be that we have the same vision. We're working together.
That alignment.
That alignment and that goal. You haven't hired me to prove you wrong. You've hired me so we can achieve your goals together.
Yeah.
So I think that really makes a difference. And honestly, it's those leaders. We're starting to see it. I always say, maybe in the 30s, when the motorized vehicle was a new piece of equipment, people were driving and kind of just going from A to B, right? Did they have car seats? No. Did they have seatbelts? Came later. So are you saying that now, because they didn't have seatbelts back then, I shouldn't wear a seatbelt now?
Yeah, of course.
Because those are the CEOs who, well, I didn't have any corporate wellness programs when I was a young junior trader. So why should I give it to my juniors now? The ecosystem is different.
Yeah.
Employees' demands are different too. They want to
Especially
feel
the
looked
younger
after.
generation, right?
Absolutely.
They will ask for what they want.
They want to have a feeling of balance. They want to make sure that their lives feel purposeful. Before, 3 generations ago, we just cared about our salary, how many zeros, and that's it,
Yeah, that's
right?
it.
So as times have evolved, as the environment has evolved, as the priorities have evolved, leadership also evolves.
So, I was reading the other day, and some of the research we've done through Healthy Minds Club is that there's potentially a law or legislation coming here around well-being of your employees. Like, CEOs and leaders of businesses need to take it seriously from, I think, September onwards, right? But and there's a huge focus around the community well-being here, which is obviously an amazing thing. I mean, I don't know many countries that actually have that kind of vision and, outlook, and that must help a lot with sort of the movement.
Absolutely. And that's definitely one of the reasons I moved here. If I can align to the vision of the government, then leadership aligns to that too.
Sure.
So even having the 2030 goals within the UAE of healthy workplaces, all of this, corroborates to really ensure that we're looking after the community, the people on a systemic level. And it's not compartmentalized. Okay, once I've left the office, then I have to go to a yoga studio, and that's my time to decompress. And then I have to go home and deal with the children. It's about how we live, not dedicating hours.
So it just becomes part of the fabric of your life.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It could happen at any point in the day,
right.
and you take care of your well-being whenever you need to.
Absolutely. Right? It starts with awareness. Even just that awareness. Oh, I'm sitting here. Are there thoughts? Have I forgotten to say something? Is there a bit of fear? Am I doubting myself? All of these things. It's moment to moment. And if I'm not able to sit in my capability, in my confidence, then the whole day will go feeling so worn out by my imposter syndrome.
Those organization cultures are built on, I suppose, trillions of micro moments, not just one big change, which a lot of leaders think, I'll do this big change program, that'll change my culture.
Ta-da,
it's those little moments around the coffee cooler, the water cooler, the coffee station, just little moments in the corridor having chats. Those things start adapting and evolving the culture.
Yeah. Also, understanding how people like to work. We all want to do our best. We're all motivated to create great things.
It's true, Nobody's going to go to work thinking, today I'm going to do the worst I can do.
Exactly. Right? But it's the ecosystem. If now that I'm holding resentment, if there's toxicity, that's going to take away from my motivation, right? So being able to allow moments of flow state where there's a lot of collaboration, a lot of focus will actually bring about greater results for the business.
It's interesting about this collaboration piece, and just to home in on that. So I was with a CFO about a couple of weeks ago, and we're out on a networking thing, and he said, he goes, I don't know what's wrong with my people, but they just struggle to work together. And he said, they don't seem to understand this concept of collaboration and working together. And he says, they all seem to just keep working off in silos. And he says, I can't find what the glue is going to be to bring them to work together, because some of them, we'll organize something in the office and then a few of them won't turn up and say, oh, I can't come because of the commute, or something's happened at home, whatever. Because it's so hard to get people to come in and work together.
I think that takes time, right? To start to change the mental association to the workplace. If it is always associated to, I'd rather be somewhere else, people are not going to volunteer for a team building exercise. So injecting moments of joy, moments of fun, even starting to create a bit more space in the workday rather than pack it with so much structure.
I mean, those back-to-back meetings.
Right.
Honestly.
Exactly.
Someone needs to ban those for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So when we are able to interject that human element into the workplace, people come to work showing all of their facets, right?
There's a new concept there, bringing joy to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the workplace.
I think Sean Aker from Harvard says that our brain is 17% more productive when we're happy. So it's a business directive.
And that seems so obvious.
Yes.
I mean, not about the number, but when you're happy, you will just end up doing more things more productively, and you do it in a joyful way, right?
And it feels more effortless.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like I'm struggling to get through this day.
But the pressure of delivery and the pressure of get things done faster, more, do more with less. I mean, that takes away a lot of the joy.
Yeah. And that's, I think, when we start to maybe dissect some of those expectations. How much of it is the pressure you're putting on yourself? I don't want to disappoint, or I need to overachieve, or I need to please. True. How much of it is can be delegated, where actually, I just want to control this
Yeah.
project. And because I'm unable to trust,
Yeah.
I'm controlling. So I'm doing so much more.
Yeah.
And thereby taking away the empowerment of my team. So there's a lot we can unpack there.
Yeah, it was crazy. There's one chap I was speaking to recently, and he was saying, they started this project, and it was a project that had been brought back on the table, but for 3 to 4 consecutive years, they'd stopped. Some other people had started the project and they stopped it.
Yeah.
But so it was a start, stop, and this guy's taking it on. He says, I was given this thing, and he says, I don't want to do this, because he goes, I went and looked at the archive, and every time it never got through.
Gosh.
And they said, well, you have to do it because we put it on our vision board or some roadmap at board level that this thing just kept rolling over every year. And you're saying, what is the point?
Exactly.
Because I already know what the outcome's going to be.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about how do you change that outcome?
Yeah.
Right? Because, and I said, you got to maybe look at maybe the result that you're trying to achieve is a different one now.
Absolutely. And
you look at things with a different perspective.
Actually, when leadership is curious and they're willing to have awareness of, people will tell you, there are many ways of extracting that data of what is it that my people need versus let me just tick the box so that I'm viewed as, forward thinking.
Yeah, exactly. So, Neelam, you're obviously an expert in corporate well-being. You know what you're doing. This is your area of expertise. You're in a great market to shift, a movement and shift the dial. What is it that, if you had like 2 or 3 key messages that you want to say to our listeners and our audience, what would you like to tell them?
In terms of change systems, we have to start with the sense of resilience. There's so much that's evolving and so quickly. If we're unable to bounce back, then it's going to start to wear down in terms of our health, our ability to connect with others, and our problem-solving skills. So find moments, even in your day, of recharge. That's the number one thing I've seen when it comes from leadership to executives, to middle managers. There's so much pressure that's born on their systems, on their nervous systems, that they're dysregulated. When you're dysregulated, I'm much more emotionally reactive.
Sure.
I'm much less likely to take on a project. I want to do as less as I can and just stay in my lane, right? And so when we're carving and paving new ways now, AI is coming, it's not going anywhere. So we need to be able to muster up that feeling of resilience towards agility, towards adaptability. As you said, that growth mindset, being able to step in some discomfort with a feeling of wonder. Oh, I wonder what's going to happen. I'm excited to try something new.
So that curiosity,
rather
right?
than fear, rather than control, because that's really what ends up taking away that feeling of vitality. Honestly, I feel the journey begins when we start to ask questions rather than feel like we know all the answers.
Brilliant. Really good points there. And, that whole agility and change and taking this all on, at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to ask for the support that we need or to take the support that's there, right? Quite often it's always, oh, you know what, I'll spend 3 hours scrolling on social media, but instead why don't spend, 2 hours of that 3 hours actually, developing and learning something new, right? And making that change.
So when I was at Harvard Medical School, one of my biggest takeaways was that oxytocin, the hormone that governs connection, is what regulates cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So if we're feeling connected, if we're feeling we're part of a social fabric where we're there to support each other, automatically we're able to maximize that stress threshold. We're able to deal with more uncertainty.
Yeah, true.
We're not as fragile. So allowing ourselves those moments of connection and steering away from dopamine, steering away from those quick wins, the quick fixes, the scrolls, as you mentioned, and really zoning into some deeper work of emotional solidarity really changes the way our physiology works as well in terms of neurochemistry.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, Neelam, I think we could talk about this for the whole day on this topic, and probably raise a whole range of other topics as well. But look, it's been lovely having you on the Wellbeing Majlis podcast, and I'm glad we got you in on the schedule this week, and I can't wait for this this recording to be released. I think it will resonate with a lot of people. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Great stuff.